Hello again, listeners. We're back again, another podcast, and we're still here at the Transport and Logistics Fair in Munich. And 3 days in, and things are getting a little bit more testing now. And we've got a lovely guest here, great sport, as you can probably see from the glasses. But there's a secondary reason. He's an Everton supporter, so he doesn't want to be identified that easy. But we've got Stephen Verhasselt. And he's the VP Commercial and Strategy for Liege Airport. He's been with Liege Airport for 12 years. Stephen, thanks very much for opening up. And this man, just something else which we'll come to later, he has been at 7 consecutive World Cups. So we'll go into that. I'm sure there's a few stories there, Stephen. So thank you so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure.
It's my pleasure, of course.
And can I ask you now, just to kick us off, why did you agree to come on the podcast?
Well, I think our industry needs some innovation, let's say on and off of what we are doing in the business, as well as far as promotion is concerned. And as this looked really like a new idea of going into promotion and spreading the word about what we are doing, it's a pleasure to try this out and to see what happens.
Good man, really appreciate it. So let's just start now. How did you actually get into the industry, Stephen?
Well, that's a long story. I was a analyst for the Belgian government's investment vehicle 25 years ago.
Oh, blimey.
And when I was there, one of the companies that at that time still existed and was not doing great was Sabena, the national airline of Belgium. And the idea was to split up Sabena in a cargo part and in a passenger part. So I was sent out by my company at that time to build the business plan to make the cargo part. As a very junior guy, they sent me out to do that.
Good learning experience.
I did it. I loved it. And I never got out of it.
And that was it,
so it's all of a sudden we are 20-something years later and I'm still doing the same thing.
Tell me about it. You go to bed one day, you're 28, you wake up, you're 40 odd. Now, as far as that's concerned, can you, because what we're trying to do is we're also trying to, anybody that listens to the podcast, especially if there's any youngsters thinking of getting into the business, it's important for them to know the sort of characters and people that are in the business and also the companies. Now, when you started off, can you recollect anybody who really helped you, who really, pushed you, mentored you, coached you, gave you that little spark or that, little insight and kept with you?
I couldn't name anyone in particular. It's just one of those things that happens. You're an investment analyst going to the office every day and then you turn into a project in the air cargo industry. Before you know it, you are talking to potential customers in Santiago de Chile and in Nigeria and in Kenya, and you're talking to investors in Dubai and in Hong Kong, and you start to love it, and you never even think of getting out of it anymore. So my advice to people who think about this business is don't think, go and live it.
And As far as helping others, how many people are involved in the whole operation in Liege?
Oh, that there again depends how you define it. I mean, within Liege Airport company, we have about 250 staff, but on the site of Liege, we have about 4,000 direct jobs. And if you're gonna add the indirect jobs, especially now that we are moving from an airport to a logistics platform, we're talking of thousands and thousands of people. And the nice thing about our industry is wherever you travel, be it on business or for pleasure, wherever you go, I'm sure you will know someone and you can call them and they'll show you around. You'll have a nice evening out. And that's what it's all about. It's not about the business, it's about the people and about having a good time while you're doing business that you really like.
And if for anybody listening now, you can hear a little bit of background music. And what that is there's some managers there doing a bonding session and a leadership session, and they're not having a good time. They're not enjoying themselves. They're just doing it to show how different leaders can come together in the same team and produce a certain amount of music. So whilst we're being distracted a little, there's a purpose behind it. And as you can see from the glasses, Stephen's more than happy to be here. So, Liege, how has it grown? You've seen it grow, so you've got a couple of facilities coming up now. One that's just completed, yeah?
Yeah. No, Liege is doing great, and we are kind of infrastructure-wise, we are catching up with the growth we had. I mean, when I started working for Liege, we were treating 120,000 tons of cargo. Last year we did 870, so that's times 4. And with everything that is coming up, we're really ambitious to go to 1 million very quickly and beyond. All that growth happened thanks to all the partners who are investing money as well. The airport, to me, the airport is an infrastructure provider, but it's not a service provider. The services are provided by all our partners, and we are building for them and helping them to get the business going and to keep promoting the airport. We have a brand new facility just opened last week, operated by the fourth handler, the new handler in town, called BAS, Belgian Air Services. We have a new facility coming up, which will be, to our standards, quite gigantic. Will be a 25,000 square meters facility dedicated to the Volga-Dnepr Group, and all the airlines will be operated by WFS. And then, of course, we are preparing for the Alibaba project, which is coming online as well. We signed a land lease agreement with them, and they will develop a total of 200,000 square meters on airport combination of first line and second line.
My God.
And everything I mentioned just now should be operational by 2021, which sounds like a long time, but it's basically the day after tomorrow.
That's incredible, huh?
It's going
That's going to make
fast.
That's going to make it. We'll have to change the glasses.
I think so. I need some more celebratory ones. Maybe a glass of champagne instead of the cocktail.
I think so. No, that's incredible, huh?
Yeah, no, it's really going well. We are, as I said, we are very proud of what we are doing. We've been working hard, but we also recognize that we couldn't have done it without the hard work of our partners. The fact that in Liège they made a strategic choice to really go for cargo and to stay strong on that strategy, and to not only go for cargo when nothing else is available, but to prioritize cargo when you have to choose between cargo operations and other ones. So we are very happy that this strategy is really paying off and that we are rewarded for it.
Yeah, but I think, especially with the e-commerce side and Alibaba, if an airport does make that strategic choice and then they follow up with the tactical side of it, there's going to be success. Now, also, you must have had some benefit from the slot restrictions in Amsterdam.
Yes, there's no denying it. I mean, we were already going well before, but let's be honest, the slot restrictions in Amsterdam and the other restrictions in other European airports, curfews left and right, they really helped us. And sometimes I make a joke about it. I don't know if my colleagues in Amsterdam like it, but I send flowers to Amsterdam every week, but that's not just a bouquet of flowers to Schiphol Airport. We do about 1,000 tons of flowers that go to the Aalsmeer flower auction. So I literally send tons of flowers to Amsterdam every week to show my appreciation.
Appreciation of the support they're giving. Oh, that's a good way of looking at it. Fantastic. Now, as far as e-commerce, and you've mentioned Alibaba, I mean, do you think that the traditional carriers and handlers and forwarders, do you think they've got a consolidated understanding of it, or it's just that it's so much that they're just being splashed by it as the water overspills?
I think it started like that. I mean, just this morning we had a joint press release with Belgian Customs, and their explanation was, look, we know that the European is building something for Europe and it will be online 5 or 6 years later. but we cannot wait because the e-commerce is there. It's there
Yeah,
today, and we have to deal with it. So I think some airlines are in it from the start, and others are getting on board, and it's the same with airports. As I live in Hong Kong, I saw it coming maybe a little bit earlier than most people in Europe. We had our first e-commerce investor, which was a Chinese guy, Mr. Lian Santen, who arrived in Liège in 2014 as a one-man company. Today he has about 25 people working for him and 10 trucks on the road. And that's the guy who taught us as an airport about how to deal with e-commerce and how to change from a airport to airport concept to a airport to final destination concept, including last mile, including cooperation with customs rather than trying to avoid or bypass or name it as you like it. So I think for us, the way we look at it, e-commerce is really where express meets general cargo. The overlap between express and general cargo, that is the e-commerce market today. That's what we've been doing in Liège for 20 years. I mean, we had TNT, who is now, of course, FedEx, as the express carriers, and then we had all the providers, all the wide body coming in with general cargo. So general cargo and express has been meeting in Liège for 20 years, and now that the e-commerce is coming in that same frame of the market, that's exactly why we are probably more flexible to deal with the requirements, because the requirements are different. That's the reality. We all know. Yeah.
And they're going to get, I think things have to get a little bit more stricter as well from the security and the safety side.
There's no question about it. I mean, everybody has to adapt, and it's kind of bonanza, and everybody jumps on the train. But then there will be consolidations, and the people who take it seriously will keep going, and the people who just hopped on the train to get their share of it, well, they will probably hop on another train later on.
Yeah. So listen, before we go on any further about Liège, etc., a little bit about yourself now. So, couple of surprises. One, swimming with sharks.
Yes.
Intentional or not?
No, intentional. Yeah, I was.
And not in the cage. You're not talking about in the cage.
No. I want to give them a chance, and I take my chances. So no, I'm a diver since 20 years, and whenever I get the chance, I go. So I was happy enough to be at CNS in Miami a couple of weeks ago, and then there was a 2 days gap before my next meeting in New York. So I flew to the Bahamas and I swam with some very impressive sharks, and I'm very happy.
But they could have killed you.
Yeah, well, a 5 meters tiger shark. Yeah, they could have killed me, but they chose not to. So I thank them for that.
They must have relatives working in Liège, huh?
Well, there are a lot of sharks surrounding our business, so maybe there are some relatives.
Exactly. Okay, but why did you do that then? If there was a risk like that?
No, I do that. I saw it on TV, and I thought I've seen a lot of sharks while diving, but I've never seen anything like that. I mean, usually you're happy when one swims by. So these guys offered it, and then they also offered the chance on Tiger Beach to go in a cage or not. And then I thought, well, if the sharks are not in a cage, why should I not be in a cage? I mean, it's just not fair. So yeah, it's nice, and if people want to see, I'm happy to show pictures. And if you want to go you just go and join. If I remember well, epic diving at the Bahamas. It's a unique experience. And I'll keep it unique. I had to promise my mom never to do that again. I also only informed her afterwards, to be honest.
But you got the pictures as well.
I got the pictures.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely put some of those. I'd like to see them. I can't. Well, the one thing I admire anybody that I tried it a couple of times, But to be down under the water and not be able to run or get out or do whatever, I just can't. I think I'd panic too much. And you were fine. You were fine, yeah.
Yes, you're in the sharks business for so many
Yeah,
years,
but
and you still panic.
No. Don't panic when above the water. I've got no problem with it. No problem with the cargo sharks. No.
Well, I also, as I said, I've been doing this for 20 something years. If this would have been my first dive, I would probably
Never done another.
panicked as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't say I wasn't scared under. I mean, it's a good thing when you look at the picture. It's a good thing that the water is very clear, so you don't see the dark spots and the light spots, and where those spots are. So
I know exactly what you mean. No, that's brilliant. Yeah. Now, the last 7 World Cups.
yes.
I mean, that's quite a record in itself. How did it come about? Why?
Well,
Because obviously Belgium aren't the superstars in every World Cup.
I'll keep going until they win one. So we're coming closer. We're coming closer.
They got good side now.
No, it's one of those things. I mean, I went to my first World Cup in 1990 with my dad, and then my dad passed away, and I kept going to World Cups. So since '94, going to World Cups, and every time a World Cup's about, in Liege, the CEO, he knows that he can call me on a. That's how many months are there in? He can call me 47 months out of 48 in a 4 years period, and then there's 1 month that I go missing.
No, that's brilliant. And what's been your best one, and why?
The last one.
Oh, really?
Last one, because number one, because Belgium did really well. But also, I mean, when we went to South Africa, when we went to Brazil before, the expectations were really high about fun to be had and the organization. Going into Russia was a little bit a different proposal. We didn't really know what to expect. I'd been in Russia from business trips 1 or 2 days, but that's a completely different thing. And when we got there, it was organized perfectly, transportation between the different cities, the stadiums were great. I had a wonderful time in Russia, I really did. And maybe it was because my expectations were a little bit lower than Brazil, but maybe it was because it was just great. So I really had a wonderful time. Of course, I had fun in Brazil. We had great memories back down in Korea in 2002, which at that time I wasn't living in Asia yet, so that was a new experience at that time. 94 as a Belgian beating Holland by playing a ball through a Dutch defender's legs in Orlando is something I'll never forget. But all over, the best World Cup I've been to was in Russia.
Very, very good. And then how did you come? I mean, I can understand the standard Liège, but how did you come to be an Everton supporter?
Everton goes well. I'm not getting younger, so it's going a long way back. When I was a young kid, one of the very first Belgians, well, he was actually only half Belgian, half Welsh, was a left back called Pat van den Houwen.
Yeah.
Nickname Psychopath for all the good reasons and all the wrong ones as well. But Psychopath played in a team that I was playing as a kid, and he played for Everton. So Everton was my first touch. Then I had to make up my mind because other players that I really liked, and now we're going back to 1978, early 80s, was Ozzy Ardiles and Mario Kempes. But in the end, I went for Psychopath and Everton, and I stayed with them. I try to go to Merseyside at least once a year to see them play live. Last game that I saw was Crystal Palace Everton a couple of weeks ago. Horrible game. But nice stadium, and it was Everton, so I still enjoy.
And still proud to wear the suit.
I'm wearing my blue suit as much as I can, especially this week after a red victory in Madrid. I have to show that I'm still a blue.
Yeah, fair. I told you the thing about, I've got to read this out. If you kill yourself, it's called suicide. If you kill someone else, it's called homicide. If you kill thousands, it's called genocide. If you have two Premier League teams and neither have won the league for 20 years, it's called Merseyside. It's a long, long time, huh? But I tell you, I thought Liverpool were fantastic. And I'm so pleased, I should say, because loads of my friends are Tottenham supporters, but for what they did in the league, and I mean, to get those sort of points and miss out by 1 point, I think they deserve the Champions League. Even as an Evertonian, you must.
Well, as an Evertonian, it was a lot of fun to see them not make it and then give them some consolidation. No, I mean, they play nice. I'm a football supporter in the first place. I don't have this. I'm an Everton supporter because I happen to know this guy, but imagine Psychopath would have played with Liverpool 30 years ago, I might be a Liverpool supporter.
Exactly.
So I don't have this, at least in the Premiership, I don't have this deep hatred. But on the other hand, I was supporting Tottenham on Saturday evening. I was. That's, of course, because they have Belgian players, but so have Liverpool and so has everybody else.
Everybody else. All mixed up now. Yeah, all mixed up now. Now, in what you do back in the workplace now, what gives you the biggest frustrations? What's the real challenge? The real challenges?
Yeah, the real challenges is meeting the expectations. I mean, as I said, we are, as an airport, you are an infrastructure provider. You don't control everything, and the thing is that when everything goes right, it's probably
happy days.
Thanks to the airlines and thanks to the handlers and thanks to the truckers and whatever you like. And whenever something goes wrong, it's because it's a bad airport. And that is something that, from an airport point of view, of course, it never happens in Liège. We never hear that, but I imagine that's not true. That happens in Liège as well as anywhere else. So the fact is that you don't control everything, but still, as being the face of the airport, whatever happens, it's part of your responsibility, and you are held accountable for it. So sometimes you're held accountable for something that you didn't even know, or something that, well, you hate it as much as your customer does, but things happen. So I wouldn't call it a frustration, but it is, it's not the easiest part of what we deal with.
Exactly. Now, good leaders make mistakes, and great leaders make plenty of mistakes, and they learn from them. What sort of mistakes have you had as the best learning experience in your current or previous positions?
Well, I'm a genuine optimist, and maybe I sometimes exaggerate in that. Meaning, I always convinced that whatever happens in the end, it will be okay, and it will turn out right, and usually it does. But sometimes that's just not good enough. So sometimes you do need to plan, and you do need to prepare, and you do need to show up. And that's probably a mistake. Another mistake was to to walk into your studio and wear the silly glasses I'm looking at now. But that's not a leader mistake. That's a marketing mistake. But you're absolutely right. I mean, 25 years in the business, if I would be telling you I never made a mistake, I was probably the biggest idiot that's running around in Munich. And there's a lot of people running around in Munich. So,
Or that you'd be wearing a pair of glasses with a flamingo and a palm tree on it.
Yeah, well, that's why. If it would have had a cocktail, at least, that would have been a lot better.
No, we'll give you a treat. We'll give you a treat later on. But fair play to you for doing that. You're a good sport. You're a good sport. And plus, that's going to be there now forever.
Well,
Forever.
Yeah.
So you might not be nicknamed the Evertonian now, but the flamingo or the palm tree man.
Well, that's well. Maybe next time you ask me what's the big mistake you made, I don't need to think about it.
No, very good, very good. Now, what do you do apart from living with the sharks? What do you do for to relax or to get away from things?
Well, as I travel 250 days a year, what I do when I'm to relax is to sit in my sofa, watch football on TV, walk my dogs in the places of Hong Kong where you don't meet people, because there's a lot of nice places in Hong Kong where you don't meet people. It's not only the concrete jungle that everybody knows. So I take my dogs for a walk for 2 hours in places where the reach of the phones is not what you'd expect from it, and then I'm okay. Then I'm ready to go again.
And what sort of dogs do you have?
You should ask them. It's they're all mongrels.
Bit of everything.
It's a bit of
Lucky
everything. It's actually most of them are street animals that have been abandoned, that are being taken care of by my wife's organization and all her friends who are taking care of street dogs in Hong Kong. And the ones that they don't manage to rehome, they end up with us. So they're not
Not the
they're
best
not
behaved.
the prettiest ones. They're probably not the smartest ones. And the good thing about the dogs is they never complain when you come home. They're always happy. I mean, you go to the toilet, you come back, they're happy because it's been a long time. You go on a business trip for 4 weeks, you come back and they're all happy because it's been a long time. So, yeah.
I'm just picturing now how long you take in the toilet. So that's another one. No, good. And books? Do you read any books?
Yeah, I read books. I read fiction mostly. The kind of books that you read on the plane, so you don't need to think and time goes by. And thinking the kind of books I like is, for example, the Stieg Larsson ones when he was actually still writing them and not the guys who are still continuing.
Yeah.
So that kind of things page turners that you don't need to focus too hard.
Yeah, easy reading. We also we'll do a title of a book for you, because that's how you'll appear. And if it was your biography, have you got any ideas what you'd call the book, or what the title would be? I've got an idea already, so I've already made one up. So
I would call it. If it would describe my life, it would probably end up in the fiction section, because nobody believes it non-fiction anymore. So my title would be, yes, it's non-fiction.
Okay, that's good for you, and I'll tell you what mine is as we finish up later on. Okay. Now, music. Are you a music man?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we got a few of those drummers going again in the background.
No, I'm old school. I mean, I still like bands with guitars and drums and things like that. Also live performances. I've been going to rock concerts since I was 15. Belgium is quite famous for that. I'm still, on Saturday I'm flying back from Munich to Belgium to enjoy some live bands. I'm going to Japan every summer to attend Fuji Rock or Summer Sonic. No, I'm getting a little bit too old for that. I mean, the young kids sleep in tents and I sleep in
in a very comfortable,
in a very comfortable, nice hotel that I can pay with the points that I'm collecting throughout the year. But yeah, I'm a music fan. I like live performances. Bruce Springsteen would be my all-time favorite, also because of his great live shows, but also from the.
And you've seen him live, have you?
I've seen him about I would say 10 to 15 times. And
Really?
if he starts touring again in 2020 as he promised and announced, I'll see him again. Yeah.
He is a great performer, though. Huh?
Yeah, he is.
And if there was one song that would always get you no matter what, would it be one of his?
Yeah, it would.
Which one? Which one would
It
it
would be Born to Run, and then
Born to Run.
people could translate it into Born to Fly, I guess. But Born to Run, yeah.
Also, yeah, no, he's huge talent. Absolutely superb. If there was any other industry that you were able to go in, which one would you choose, or what would you like to have done or do? I know you love this one though, and it's not going to be a footballer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, it's not going to be a footballer.
No, I'm talking now. I mean,
Yeah,
we
now.
all of us would have loved to have been a footballer.
Yeah. I honestly, I simply don't know. I cannot imagine to be in anything else. I like to speak on conferences and talk to people, so it might go into the direction of, well, what you're doing now seems to be lots of fun. Organizing conferences, moderating things, maybe that might be something for me, but most honestly, I don't think I don't think I could miss what I'm doing now. And the most favorite part about it is that, yeah, keep flying around. People say, don't you get tired of it? Sometimes you do, but on the other hand, everywhere you go, you have
Something
you have
new,
friends and
yeah.
peoples you know, and then the other things, new things to discover. So I'm not ready to quit yet.
No, that's good. And it's lovely to see someone with passion about the industry, and yeah, it's fantastic. Now, before we come to an end, if you were able to leave the business now and come back in 5 years to Liège, what would you like to see in that time happen?
This is politically so incorrect, and I would like to see a third runway that is as busy as the two runways we have are now. But taking into consideration
the noise
it's in Europe, it's not very likely. But I would just love to see the result of the work that we have put together 5 years. The projects I talked about earlier, they have been signed, they are in development, but they are not in full flow yet. 10 years ago, our ambition was to be number 1 in Belgium and number 10 in Europe as far as cargo throughput is concerned. Today we are number 1 in Belgium, we're number 7 in Europe.
I was going to say, yeah.
So 5 years later, maybe my ambition might be to be number 1 in Europe and top 10 in the world.
Yeah, no, but the reputation is certainly enhancing now all the time. Rugby? Do you like rugby? Any other sports?
I do the rugby sevens in Hong Kong every year, and then on Monday I buy the newspaper to see who won. But that's the rugby sevens in Hong Kong. I spent 3 days in the South Stands with my friends from my football team in Hong Kong, and I still don't really understand the game, but I do like it. I'm planning to go to Japan in September and see that I can see one or two rugby games there. But it's rugby sevens.
But that's a great event.
It's a great event, but it's not about the rugby. It's about the party and the atmosphere. Of course, I'm also a cycling fan, like every Belgian probably. So I like that as well. I'm a genuine sports fan as long as it's the athletes who do it. So I'm not into car racing or into motorbike racing or sailing or even horse racing, although I like to do a bet at the Hong Kong races. But I always think, whoever you put in the best car or on the best horse will win it anyway. But I'm a genuine sports fan, yeah.
And how do you balance the Hong Kong, the Liège,
Well, a normal week in the life of Steven Verhasselt is supposed to be 1 week in Hong Kong, 2 weeks on the road, and 1 week in Belgium, because I do manage the team back in Liège. So that's what it's supposed to be, and that's what it usually is. Although sometimes the Hong Kong is a little bit shorter, or Belgium is a little bit longer, but that's what it. That's what it takes. I mean, probably some people in my company would love to see me being based in Liège, but then on the other hand, I think everybody in the business is flying around anyway, and being based in Hong Kong has a lot of advantages as well. You can reach everywhere in the world within 12 hours. All the connectivity is there. And with today's possibilities of Skype meetings and video calls and video meetings, I can manage my team out of Hong Kong. It works perfectly as long as the results are good. Everybody will agree that it works perfectly. Yes, and if the results would turn differently, then there will be another discussion.
But it's good. It's good that they allow that flexibility, and logic. Common sense.
Well, Liege Airport brands itself as the Flexport, so they should be flexible with me as well.
No, exactly. I think that's 100%. Now, is there any question? Any question you got for me at all, or would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, who's your favourite team?
My favourite team, believe it or not, it's Brentford. I would say. Brentford. So they're the division below the Premiership.
Okay.
Yeah. It's lots of friends grew up, and my brother Mick and myself, we had the privilege and the opportunity to play for them once. Okay. So both of us played in the same game, which was against a Wimbledon side in a midweek league game, and it was a great memory. And to do that with your brother, also fantastic. Also, it's the only club that's got a pub on every corner.
That's an excellent reason to be a supporter.
It's not bad, huh? And now they're moving to a new ground later on. So it's very, very, very good. But that's because I've always played myself. So if you can't go all the time, it's difficult. And my son blames me for not having something to hand down to him and say, like, this is our club, Joe. And he went through a little phase where he was Tottenham, he was Aston Villa, but now he's Chelsea. So he supports Chelsea, which you know very well, huh?
Well,
Mr. Hazard.
Someone's got to do it. I mean, support Chelsea.
Exactly.
That's.
But what
fine.
a great football!
For me, it's not about who you support. It's about how you enjoy the game, and supporting a team is part of enjoying the game. And I can enjoy a wonderful Hazard dribble and Hazard goal against Arsenal, yes. Against Liverpool, even better. Against Everton, it's about football. And
still a balance.
And I love it and I like it. And I still play. I play in the wonderfully named Legends League in Hong Kong, so I'm an official legend on the football pitch.
How many teams are in that?
There's 10 teams in the league. It's an over 40 years old league, so I'm a young kiddo there.
So you're really stepping up. What's the oldest of any of the players?
60.
That's the oldest.
It's a Danish guy, and when we go training, when we go running, he leaves us all behind.
Seriously?
Yeah. He's an air traffic controller. I always knew that those guys have time to practice. Please cut that.
No. That's going to make you very popular now when you're travelling. No, really, you said it's a pleasure to be a sports person. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. The title of the book that I put down was "Just Go Live It and Be Fair to the Sharks." And
yes,
that's what I would. That's what I put for you.
If I can finish with "Stop eating shark soup."
Stop.
Okay, protect the animals and don't throw plastic in the sea.
Go on, Go on. You're on a roll now. Any other message?
No. Seriously, I mean, I live in Hong Kong. I can see the hundreds and thousands of shark fins that's still transiting in Hong Kong. It tastes like nothing. Okay.
So
and it doesn't make you perform better at night. Ask the missus. If she says it does, it's just because she likes you. So stop eating shark fin soup and let the sharks be in the sea and go visit them, either in a cage or not.
Well, I think you've made a very, very clear message there. I was always wondering whether it had an effect. So now I don't even have to try the shark fin soup.
Great idea.
No, really, absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on podcast, and great success and luck with Liege. Everything that I've heard is very, very positive, so it's really good. And my God, what an opportunity when Alibaba opens up their facility, huh? There's going to be some fun times there.
Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I would imagine some fun times. You'll probably have a separate facility for the returns, huh? Be another business.
That's another business. That's another new thing.
Another shark business.
Yeah.
That one, I'm sure. Listen, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do so?
Well, they can call my mobile, or they can connect to me on LinkedIn. Don't call the office. I'm probably
you're
there.
out of office, yeah.
So send me an email or connect to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I now know you better, and I'm going to make sure that I head for you in the next conference.
Okay.
And we'll spend some time together. Thank you so
Thanks, Chris.
much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.